Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sincerely Agile with Mary. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, this is a show where we promote the lean agile mindset, where we learn, unlearn, and relearn. And above all, it's a place where we want to be awesome and wholesome together. And as always, I am your host, Mary Lanignon. I am an enterprise coach, and today I have an amazing guest with me who is going to be discussing netiquette. And I am sure you will agree that this is a very important topic, always important. Let us welcome Stella Dasilva to the screen. Hello, Stella.
Hi, Mary. How are
How
you?
are, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'll probably be talking with a bit of a list because, as you know, I've had some really bad toothache. So forgive me, but I'm here.
I know. I saw that. But how are you feeling? Are you feeling much better? Is the swelling down?
I'm feeling a lot better. So, yeah, it's been a miserable few days, but I'm feeling a lot better. And I could not, there was no way I was going to miss today. No way.
Oh. And you know what? You have been so consistent on this show.
I
You
love
have
your
been
show.
thank you. Thank you. You have been so consistent, showing up every Sunday, engaging with our guests. And today you are the guest. And it's
It feels
just,
honestly, it feels so weird being a guest because you've had some amazing guests on your
oh,
show,
thank you.
and it's been honestly just engaging with them and engaging with you. And now it's like kind of like my turn. So I'm just hoping people engage and we can have some fun.
That will be so nice. That will be so nice. So let's see who's logged on with us already. Let's see. Oh, Ronke's here. Hello, Ronke. How are
Hi,
you?
Renke.
Uh, okay, let me just introduce Stella. Let me introduce Stella. Now, Stella Da Silva is a consultant with expertise in vocational education and on the job training. She has worked extensively internationally. She's been to China, South Korea, Malaysia, Vietnam, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Nigeria, and now
Yes,
in
so
Oman. Developing trainers through Train the Trainer programs. She is currently working as an expert with the Ministry of Labor in Oman. Stella has a knack for professional brand identity, and her creative use of LinkedIn has resulted in various international consulting opportunities. She has been identified and listed as a LinkedIn influencer based on her active engagement with rich content on LinkedIn. She has helped LinkedIn Connections develop their LinkedIn strategy for improved brand identity, visibility, and lead generation. We are therefore, I am in particular excited at the opportunity to have Stella engage with us live on Sincerely Agile with Mary on the all important subject of netiquette, especially post COVID, as we work remotely and need to be much more digitally present. Stella Da Silva, you are welcome to Sincerely Agile with Mary.
I love
Now,
that intro, by the way.
uh, so this is Stella here. She's an international trainer and vocational consultant. Now, Stella, we all know what the environment has been like. These have been very, very difficult times. And here you are walking all the way in Oman. All your families are here in the UK. I can't even begin to imagine how you have been coping. I know you came to the UK once and you had to, go under lockdown and all of that. How has it been with you, given how far away you are?
It hasn't been easy. My
Mm,
experience in Oman would have been a lot nicer had then if there wasn't any COVID, in all
yeah.
honesty, because it would have meant that family and friends, you would have been able to fly out to Oman to come and see me, and obviously it would have been a lot easier for me to come back to the UK. So the whole of last year, literally spent, the whole of last year on my own. I flew back to London in Christmas into a lockdown
Yeah.
London. So it was a bit of a nightmare. The only, I really stuck to the bubble because I was, I just could not afford to catch the virus because I had to come back. So yeah, I literally just saw my family. I didn't even see one sister because my younger sister lives in Suffolk.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the travel restrictions when I was back in the UK meant that I couldn't even see her. So yeah, it was tough, and it has been because I've been back since January, and
Mm-hmm.
again I've not been able to fly back to the UK. Nobody has been able to fly into
Fly
Oman.
over.
Oman is
Yeah.
on the red list, so
Hmm.
yeah, it's tough. It's not easy.
I know. So Oman is on the red list?
Oman
Wow.
is on the red list. The cases here are pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Oman is quite a small country. So, it really has limited resources. It's got brilliant hospitals and doctors and
Mm.
this, that, and the other, but there are just too many people getting sick. So we are now going through, I think, what we would call our really first wave, and the figures are really still quite high. So the
Wow.
borders are, for travel, the borders are closed more or less for travel.
Hmm.
So we're stuck.
I'm sure you can wait to just come back home, albeit for a week or two at some point.
Honestly, even if it's for a week, I'll
Hmm.
come. But for
Oh,
now, I can't travel.
I know. I know. You've taken a jab or two?
I've taken my first jab. So
Okay.
again, Oman was quite late with
Hmm.
the vaccination program, but
Okay.
thankfully, then they're now then on it. So yes,
Good.
I took my first jab a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully in the next few weeks I'll be on my second jab.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Ronke says, glad you're feeling better, Stella, and happy you made it despite last people.
Thank you,
uh,
Ronke.
a proper Ajala LOL. In other words, someone who travels a lot.
Yes, so
And yes, she does. She does. Right. Our topic today, netiquette. Now, for me, as you know, on this show, we promote a growth mindset, so to speak. So this is a very important topic because as an agilist, one of the things we aim to achieve is a safe environment.
yeah,
How can we create safe spaces? We are all operating online today. I mean, we were always online anyway, but COVID took online to another level, right?
absolutely.
So COVID took online to another level, took remote working to another level, which for me then meant even more safety online, even more, being more intentional, being more mindful in how we show up online. Hence this topic of discussion today. So as we then make progress, my first question, what is netiquette in your own words? What is netiquette?
I think even when we started talking about this, and
Yeah.
obviously we worked last year together when we did our master classes, right?
Yes,
And again, that was even part of netiquette because it's
absolutely.
probably something we wouldn't have done ordinarily. So again, netiquette is, and on top of that, it's not just, everybody always thinks, the internet or us being on social media is all about social media and for for professional going on a Zoom meeting, this, that, and the other. But we forget that even in our personal lives, you know, it's also really relevant. So
Yes.
netiquette for me is how you literally present yourself. And for me, I'm always about what you see offline is
Mhm.
what you should see online with
Online.
regards to you, right? Because of course some of us go online and then you meet them in person and you're like, I don't recognize you, this person, offline because you're not coming across as you do come across online. So that kind of then fits in together when you're actually talking about netiquette. Netiquette really for me is about being authentic. It's about being the real you, both online and offline. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yes, it makes sense. And I like the fact that you talk about offline because before the internet, we had etiquette, right? We had etiquette before the internet. So, netiquette is a combination of the words network and etiquette, and is defined as a set of rules for acceptable online behavior. So that just puts together
Absolutely.
everything you just said, essentially. I took that off Google. That
And
just
then
puts together everything you said.
and again, of course, it's also, it's got to be both personal and professional. Because again, in light of COVID, we've seen what's been going on with Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
You've seen those viral videos of
Yes.
people behaving inappropriately
Yeah.
on Zoom meetings. This is what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Would you go to a real meeting in your pajamas? No, you wouldn't. So why would you attend a Zoom meeting, regardless of the fact that you are in your own home in your pajamas? I just can't do it.
I'm closing my eyes
Are
because
you one of the guilty ones?
not with my camera on. I have been in my PJs, and I'm being honest here. I have attended meetings in my PJs, but knowing very well my camera will not be on. Otherwise, I do dress up.
But even with the camera off, I don't know. I
Yeah.
think just psychologically,
Yeah.
for me personally,
Yeah.
if I've got a meeting, if I've got
Yeah.
a professional Zoom
Yeah.
meeting, I have to be appropriately dressed as I would be seeing them offline. And I
Guilty.
I don't know whether it's, again, for some people, a lot of people do it. A lot of people do the whole pajama dressing and cameras off, this, that, and the other. And again, here in the Middle East, there's a tendency for a lot of women to have the cameras switched off.
Okay.
When they're talking, because they don't like to show their faces.
I mean, traditionally, that has always been a thing for them, right?
Culturally.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
culturally, yeah, culturally.
Yes. So again, you have to adapt. So sometimes I could be in a Zoom meeting with 12 women and it's just me showing my face on that camera.
Showing your face, okay.
But because I'm not, I'm not bothered as to whether or not I show my face, I will come and I will be dressed and I'll be ready as if I am, as if I'm meeting them face to face.
I get it. And that's good discipline. And that's what I do most of the time. But I must raise my hand and say I have on some occasions been in my PJs, but with the camera off. Okay. So guilty here also. Okay. But that's, that's showing up, in my pajamas once in a while. But more than that, how do we show up in terms of creating safe spaces online? I mean, online, we've heard of trolling. I mean, we're going to come to that very shortly. We've heard of trolling. We've heard of shaming. We've heard of bullying, and these are serious issues. Very, very serious issues, because people have hurt themselves because of that. Lives have been lost because of that. So we're talking about Netiquette today, not just for the fun of it, but we are really trying to create awareness about safety online. How much more safer can online be? Because for me, I feel, Stella, that the internet and social media, these are amazing tools of our time.
Absolutely.
These are one of the greatest connectivity tools of our time. But like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. Okay, it can be used for good or bad. Now, I know you're a LinkedIn influencer. I know because of LinkedIn, you've ended up in Oman, Singapore, India, all the 7 continents. You've been there to do your work. And that has a lot to do with the way you have shown up online. So can you please tell us how you have used social media positively and professionally? Like I said, some people choose to do that. Some people choose to do the alternative, because we're trying to, get a message across here that the social media is a tool, okay? And how do you want to show up there? What are you using it for? Even in your personal spaces, how are you using social media? In your professional life, how are you using social media? But before you take that question, let me just go to our audience and see what is being said there.
Usually I'll be typing here.
I know, usually you're on the other side. Temitope is calling from Nigeria. Thank you very much for being here. Agatha is here. She's saying hello. Ronke, a really important topic for indeed lives have been ruined. That's correct. Yeah. Lives have been ruined due to improper use of language and all of that. Hello, ladies. Agatha says, okay, so Agatha, you're welcome. Nice to see you again. And back to the question. So, how have you used this social media as a tool positively and professionally?
One word: intention.
Hmm.
What is your intention for going on social media? That's literally, when you ask yourself that question, then you are better able to manage yourself on social media. So when I'm talking to my clients, I get quite a lot of people say, oh, I want to come and start using LinkedIn. I want to start doing this. I want to start doing that. And the first thing I say, before we even delve into LinkedIn, what is your intention? Why do you want to go on LinkedIn, or why do you want to go on social media? And once you're able to really clarify that question within yourself, then, as I said, you're better able to manage yourself on any social media platform, be it LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Okay. So for me, it really is about what my intentions are. What are my
Okay.
goals? Am I going on LinkedIn just to be there, just to put post up that is going to go viral? What are my intentions? I have clear goals when I'm on LinkedIn. And if I don't fulfill my goals, that means that I have to go back, refocus, reevaluate, and again go and ask what my intentions are. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So, when you say goals, can you share one of such goals with us?
So a simple goal for me when I came back on LinkedIn in 2017, I was working as a freelance training consultant at the time. And all I wanted was one more client. That's all. I only wanted one more client. I had a client that kept me busy, sending me around the world, but I just needed a backup. So I just thought, you know what, let me go and try and LinkedIn. I'd registered in 2009. It didn't feel like it was a platform for me back then in 2009. So in 2017, I just thought, okay, let me just go back and let me go and see what this LinkedIn is all about. And literally, my intention was to go and get one more client. So I had a clear goal as to what I wanted to do on LinkedIn when I went back in 2017. Fortunately for me, I got that client very, very quickly, within weeks of me coming back on LinkedIn, like literally weeks. I got my very first client from putting out content, and I went to Saudi Arabia, like literally.
Wow.
Okay. And from then on, my LinkedIn journey just blew up. So I went in continuously reevaluating what my intentions was then going to be, because I'd gotten that one client. So
Yeah.
I had to start thinking of my next strategy of, okay, it looks as if LinkedIn potentially might be something good for me. So what are my intentions now moving forward? And again, I had to build some sort of strategy to make
Yeah.
it work for me, so that there's what we call a return on investment.
Right.
And that's
Right.
exactly what I did. So again, intention was clear. I had a very
Absolutely.
clear goal of what it was I wanted from LinkedIn, for me to still be on it some 3-4 years later and still
Absolutely.
getting a return on
On
investment.
investment. And when we talk about return on investment, we're talking about clients here, clients reaching out to you.
We're talking
And
about clients reaching out to you. You're talking about people like yourselves, all you brilliant podcasters reaching out to us and saying, look, can you come on our shows? Doing masterclasses. Again, I worked really closely with you last year when we conducted 2 amazing LinkedIn masterclasses. So the opportunities are endless.
And you know what? That masterclass, a lot of people got back to me saying, thank you for doing that, because you said you came onto LinkedIn 2009, and then you came off again, sort of, and then came back again.
In
Now, a lot of people,
2017.
2017, a lot of people were on LinkedIn, but dormant, mostly dormant. They just have one, their name and their picture, and not much going on. After that masterclass, a few people really got busy on LinkedIn after the masterclasses we ran.
I'm still engaging
Yeah.
with a few people who literally that masterclass literally,
Yeah.
like they said, changed their
Yeah.
way of thinking, and are now doing brilliantly on LinkedIn.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now let's talk about engagement on LinkedIn. I mean, you would think that because LinkedIn is a professional platform, then there's no trolling, there's no bullying, there's no shaming. What's your take on that on LinkedIn in terms of trolling? I mean, it's a professional platform, but it's not perfect, right?
It is. And some people are trolled, is the bottom line.
Yeah.
In all honesty, again, it's dangerous when we identify trolls, because again, some people always think that because they've had a nasty comment from somebody,
Mm-hmm.
they automatically label them a troll. It might be
Okay.
just somebody just saying something, just something silly. They're not necessarily a troll.
A
A
troll.
troll, a troll is somebody who's consistently bullying, being very, very aggressive, and malicious. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I identify as a troll. Okay. And
Right.
on LinkedIn, I've had a few of my connections who have been trolled, and they have come to me and, you know, and asked for ideas on how to sort of like deal with trolls. And
Hmm.
again, the best advice I would give to anybody who's been trolled is this: block them,
Okay.
block them. For me, I use different tactics simply
Okay.
because if I block a troll, I always think they might go and troll somebody else who is more vulnerable than me. You said it right at the beginning of this session that people have lost their lives because they've been bullied or they've been trolled online. Okay. So I kind of have that as a burden, if you like, that it's so easy for me to press that block button and they leave me alone, but then they go and they're going to find somebody else to go and troll. So I've learned over the years on how to deal with trolls, but it's not
Hmm.
something that I would necessarily recommend unless you know how to deal with them. What I would honestly say is block them.
Okay.
Leave it to us, kind of like the professional
Hmm.
troll slayers, to
Hmm.
deal with them, because we have got ways of dealing with
Of
them.
dealing with them.
Yeah, I have had a few people kicked off and banned from life from LinkedIn
I was
because
just
of
gonna
their
say,
trolling.
I know recently you did report something on LinkedIn, and that person was taken off LinkedIn.
Well, actually, it wasn't the case that I actually reported it. What happened
Okay.
is somebody they weren't even trolling, but what it was the Sarah Maynard who was killed, who was murdered in the UK. This stupid person decided to make a joke out of someone, a young woman who actually was on LinkedIn, and had connections on LinkedIn, but decided to make a joke of it, which upset a lot of
A lot of
people,
people. Yeah. Yeah.
and people had been reporting it to LinkedIn, but for some bizarre reason LinkedIn didn't do anything about it. So thankfully I have a platform where I've got quite a few followers, and as you said, sometimes it just takes one person to really just do something and just open up a discussion. And that's exactly what I did. I did a post about this person, I outed this person, and then we were tagging LinkedIn in every single way we could. And then LinkedIn finally banned him from the
Hmm.
platform.
Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing that post. So now, what would be your advice if a young, graduate came to you and said, "Oh, I'm going on LinkedIn. I want you to help me with my LinkedIn strategy." What is the one advice you would give that, mentee?
Again, and I mentor quite a lot of
Mm.
people. One person we have in common,
Yeah.
Olufemi,
Yeah.
who was doing his masters in the UK.
Yeah.
I took him on as a mentor directly from you,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it's really important that I have a chat with them. And we're
Yeah.
talking about this again, we're talking about netiquette, right? And this
Yes.
is exactly what I'm talking about. It's not about just saying, yes, I'll take somebody on to be my
Mm-hmm.
mentor. I
Mm-hmm.
have a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I need to have a discussion with my potential mentees as to, again, what their intentions are.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they want me as a
Mentor.
mentor? Okay. And why do they want to be on LinkedIn? What is their goal? So again, we would have a chat, either a Zoom call, virtually, whatever, phone call, and then a decision will be made. Because sometimes I might not even be the right person to mentor that person.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You might be the right person. I might say, you
Mm-hmm.
know what, I'm not the right person for you, but I know someone who will be perfect for
Mm-hmm.
you. So again, it's really important to build that relationship with whoever it is I'm going to take on as a mentee, if you like.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just highlighting comments from our audience. I think someone said, I love that. Being intentional. Yeah, being intentional. Absolutely. Being intentional. Omar B says, clearly defined goals. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome session last year. Helped my LinkedIn presence. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. All these little things we do and we don't know the lasting effect, isn't it?
It's brilliant to hear, honestly, when you get that kind of
Yes.
feedback as
Yes.
educators, as trainers. That is
Yes.
the best thing you can ever get, is when people
Absolutely.
just say, you've changed
Mm-hmm.
something about me, you've changed the way I
Absolutely.
think. It's
Mm-hmm.
really, honestly, it's the best thing.
Absolutely, it is. Now, back to LinkedIn. For me personally, talking about intention, I went in there to showcase myself as a professional. And like you said, it's about, what exactly do I want to gain from being on LinkedIn? I want to be seen as the professional that I am. And of course, if you're a freelancer, that becomes very important. And most of my jobs have also come from LinkedIn. I have had, clients reach out to me on LinkedIn. So we really, really need to be intentional on how we put ourselves out there, from our profile picture to all the posts we put online, and even commenting on other people's posts. If it doesn't fit with, who you are, move on. That's what I say.
The thing is, I always tell people that LinkedIn might not be the platform for you.
Yeah.
It might
And
be
it's true.
Instagram. It
Yeah.
might be Facebook.
Yeah.
Everybody always thinks because LinkedIn is the so-called professional platform, that's the one that I need to be on. But I always say no, you need to try out all the platforms and see what works for you. Your audience might not necessarily be on LinkedIn. They might be on Facebook. I know some
Mm.
people who are killing it on Facebook.
Yeah.
I know some people who are killing it on Instagram. Yet they come on LinkedIn and they bomb.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to find your platform,
You
and
have to find it.
you have to nurture your network. When I came back in 2017, I came back with less than 200 connections, not even
Mm-hmm.
followers,
Mm-hmm.
connections.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and half of them were people I knew. They were
Mm-hmm.
school friends, and but I had to start building a network, and you build a network by being consistent, by being visible, by
Mm.
knowing what your intentions are.
Mm.
Again, I had clear intentions on LinkedIn. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to gain clients. I knew I wanted to support people,
Mm.
because that's part of my job as a trainer,
Mm-hmm.
is to educate.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And
Mm-hmm.
I did it in Stella way. I didn't
Yeah.
follow anybody. I didn't copy anybody. I wasn't doing copy and paste. I was just doing my own thing.
Very
And then,
unique way. Very unique.
very unique way.
Yeah.
And then, before you know it, people just resonated with my stuff.
Mm.
And again, from then we build on that relationship. I love the fact that you said it. Going on LinkedIn is not just by putting out content, it's by you engaging with
Taken.
people.
Absolutely. You
And
have to
that's why
engage.
in my network of people, I know so many people. So that if you,
Mm.
Mary, came to me and said, "Oh, Stella, I've got a young graduate in engineering. He wants to," I know the perfect person.
Mm.
I've got somebody in hospitality. Yeah, I know the perfect person.
That's
And I
right.
only know these people, not because I've necessarily met them in person. I know these people because we are consistently engaging on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
So I know
absolutely.
who they are. They know who I am. I get, I don't even sell my services on LinkedIn. I
Mm.
rarely ever sell my services on LinkedIn. But you
Mm.
can be guaranteed that somebody will say, so and so referred you to
Exactly.
referred me to me.
Referral. A referral,
So I get a
absolutely.
lot of
Mm,
referrals, and
mm,
literally I get referrals literally from my content because we build
absolutely.
that relationship. People
Yeah.
begin, they just know your style, they know who you are, they know the kind of person, the kind of content. They expect that content now. They know
Mm-hmm,
exact
mm-hmm.
that when they see a stellar content, they know it's a
They
stellar
know, they
content.
know. And the content is so important. I mean, you talked about who we are offline and who we are online. I mean, it has got to overlap, right? It has got to overlap.
I always say to people, when they meet you offline, so if you were
Yeah,
to meet up for for drink or for a meal, this that, and the other, you better be the same person you're
I get
portraying
it.
online. You really have to,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
because I've met some people, I've
Mm-hmm.
met them offline, and I'm thinking you're nothing
You're not the
nothing
same person.
like what, where is this person? It's like two
Absolutely.
different personalities.
Yeah.
So again, you really, and it's hard. It's actually, it's not as easy as people always make out to be, because sometimes
Mm.
it means that you have to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but where do you draw the line?
Where do you draw the line?
What are the boundaries? And this is what we're talking about in terms of netiquette.
Absolutely.
What are the boundaries between you and saving some of your privacy, because you don't want to
Mm.
tell everything, to the whole wild world.
I,
Where do you
I,
draw that line?
exactly. And I think it's important that we talk about that too, because I mean, I'm all for being authentic and all of that. But like you said, you need to be intentional about what you're coming online to do. And we see a whole lot going on, especially on other platforms like Facebook and Instagram. I mean, some people sneeze, they bring it online. Okay. And I like the way you sort of use some things happening and you twist that around and you bring some kind of content around that. Veronica does that as well. She comes raging, dancing
She's
and all of
brilliant.
that. She's amazing. And then something comes off of that. Not just content out there just for the sake of it. And this is what I also shy away from. If I put out something, I'm putting out a message.
Absolutely. And
When I put out something, I'm putting out a message.
I think it's really important, Mary, simply because
Mm,
as well, people, especially on LinkedIn,
mm-hmm,
people have this need to want to post every day for the
mm,
sake of posting every
mm,
day. And
mm-hmm.
I'm just like, if you have nothing to say, don't say it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The key word is, what is your message?
yeah.
So when you have something powerful to say, I think
Mm,
sometimes people actually need some room, food for thought, to go and
absolutely.
think about what the message is. So you need to give them that space. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I mean, with a full-time job anyway, I haven't got the time to put out
Yeah.
content every day. I used to, but now again, I'm very intentional. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
strategic with the
Mm-hmm.
kind of content I am putting out on LinkedIn.
I'm talking about content. Ronke says that Alicia's content, and
Amen,
absolutely
girl.
true.
Amen.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Now, still on, I'm just clicking on my banners. There you go. Now, I talked about trolling, shaming, bullying. I mean, long before we had social media, we had etiquette. And some things are just plain wrong. Some things are just wrong, whether it's online or offline, just absolutely wrong. I can't even begin to imagine why I would want to troll anyone or shame anyone or bully anyone online. I don't do that offline anyway. I don't do it offline. So I ain't going to come online and do that. And if you put out a post and I don't necessarily agree with the post constructively, I will put my comment to that post constructively. Why some people find that difficult to do, I don't know. And losing one life is bad enough. One person is bad enough. And you and I know it's been more than one person. I mean, we don't have to mention any names. Losing just one life is bad enough. When is this going to stop? What are your views on
I
this?
mean, it's a difficult one,
Mm,
because for bullies, and the way I've been brought up with bullies is the fact that, they lack their own self-esteem, and hurt people hurt people. right? So these are these people. So
So
again,
people who have issues, people who are hurt,
abs-
that's all they have to give, right?
that's all they've got to give. And for trolls, trolls thrive on attention, be it positive, be it negative attention. That they crave that attention. So if you respond back to a troll, whether even if you end up, being aggressive, this, that, and the other, they feed on that. They feed on that energy. So again, there's also, it's almost like there's a masterclass to trolling. And now, funny enough, I now give talks on trolling because people have seen me successfully deal with trolls on LinkedIn. That again, people just decided, oh my God, we want you to come and give a talk in our schools in this. I'm just like, okay, that's another avenue. But because it's so, it's a difficult one in the sense of how you deal with individuals. Okay. And for me, trolls are people, because they're still people who, for some bizarre reason, find comfort in typing away behind a screen.
Hiding
Because
behind the screen.
absolutely, because 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't dare come and say it to your face. 9 times out of 10. So again, it's how you then deal with that in return. So, shaming and bullying, of course, is just not warranted. There's just no need for it. And as Nigerians, I have to say, some of us, the things we say, it's almost that there's not a second thought. We see something and boom, we're on it without even, I find a lot of people don't fact check before they start commenting. They're just, it's just, sometimes I just need to shut down my computer because I'm going to lose it myself. Just mentally, it's a lot. So
Absolutely.
I think sometimes, you have to decide again how you want to manage it, and for the most part, if you are being trolled, I say this: block them. If you are being trolled where you are being threatened, please report it, escalate it. Just don't block them. They need to be reported. They need to be taken off social media. But a lot of people make that mistake of, I'm just going to block them. You're just going to block them for them to go and do exactly the same thing to somebody else. So it's really important that if they're being, if they are threatening you, if they're being really, really abusive, racially, sexually, this and the other, it is actually a crime. It's cyber crime. So, you can actually report it, especially in the UK. Nigeria is a whole different kettle of fish. But there are things that we as a community we can do to sort of like try and alleviate the trolling that is going on. But unfortunately, it's something that will always be there. And we see it. We
Absolutely.
see it. We see it just not with us as normal people, but the celebrities get trolled. Everybody.
Everybody gets trolled.
Everybody more or less, has some form, some form of abuse online. And again, you have to decide, if I come online, this is part and parcel of being online.
You then
It
have to
really
come
is.
up with strategies of how you want to be online and how you want to deal with such. I mean, I haven't really been, I have not been shamed, I've not been bullied online, but someone had given me a comment where I felt, it could have been much more constructive. And I remember involving you in that conversation. I put out a post, and this person took offense to the way I to the way I worded the post.
I remember.
And I was trying to give a particular message, but he interpreted that message another way. And I'm trying to be, honest here. And then I copied you on that post, or maybe I took a picture of it and I sent it to you. And I said, Stella, what do you think about this post? And you said, Mary, I can see why. Those were your words. Mary, I can see why he may have interpreted it that way, but I know exactly what you're also
What you-
trying to communicate. Okay. And the moment you said, Mary, I can see why, I rushed to my account and I took that post offline. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I meant exactly what I had in mind. But one person, just one person, had interpreted it, some other way. I took it off online because I'm conscious of the fact that I do not want to be seen as that kind of person, because I'm not that kind of person. Okay. And immediately I took it off. I mean,
and
I was
that's
talking. Yeah, go on.
and that's the thing. I think it's the way we communicate.
Yeah.
Right. So all of us, and even me, all of us will put on our CV, we're good communicators, good skills, good communication
Yeah.
skills. And I always say, actually, no, your communication skills are not that good. You're not actually communicating effectively. And again, sometimes when we put out content, we put it in, with all the intention that we want to put out a message that somebody would just, for some bizarre reason, completely misinterpret what that message is.
Totally. And for me, that was enough for me to put it down. For me, because of who I am, that one person seeing it in a different light, it was enough for me to put it down. I'm just going to see what more questions we have or comments. Life is hard enough and people are going through a lot. Exactly. We need to be kind to one another. And that is what this show is all about. If you feel threatened by a troll, don't just block them, report them. Absolutely. Strap and Self-Drive Foundation. This is so profound. Absolutely. And I can imagine why she's here. She's all about safety. That is Bola Edwards there. She's all about safety, especially safety for children online. Now, I was just talking about, being intentional about how we also comment, how we, the posts we put out there. We need to stop to think. Someone puts out a post, you're trying to comment on it. Why are you commenting? Are you commenting to, make yourself feel good? Are you commenting to make yourself feel intelligent? Are you commenting to even make the person who wrote that post feel stupid? Or are you actually adding value to that post? I think we need to stop and think. What's your take on that?
Again, what's that key word? Intention.
Yeah, intention comes back to that.
It comes back to that intention. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
If I see a post that really resonates,
yeah,
I always say, what value can I bring to that post?
Exactly.
In terms of how I'm going to actually engage.
Exactly.
Okay? So if a post really resonates, and it doesn't have to always be on LinkedIn, there's some really good posts on Facebook, on Snapchat, wherever. But if it really resonates, my train of thought is, one, it really resonates, and two, I have something to say. So what value can I bring? What's my own? What can I bring to engage the poster? And I always find that when I bring value to somebody's content, 9 times out of 10, they will respond to that comment.
Absolutely.
And it's the same way, as you said, it's the same way if I want to disagree. I will, there's some, there's contents that I will think, no, I don't agree with this one.
But you do it in a constructive way.
Absolutely. I think I'm very intentional. I stop because, again, you can easily react and and really start putting out all sorts. And again, you've got to be very, very careful in terms of what you're even putting out. Okay. So again, I'm always thinking about how can I disagree in a way that they can understand why I'm disagreeing. So what I want to say is, I'm not invalidating what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not invalidating what you're saying, but can you try and see it from my perspective and as to why I'm disagreeing with you? So I wouldn't just come with, I disagree. I would tell you why I'm disagreeing, because then that when you're explaining yourself, especially in disagreement, that's what stops the whole trolling and the abuse and the aggressiveness and the bullying, right? That's what actually stops that. And again, I'm very careful who I'm engaging with, because there's some people that I just say, nah, it will end up being a fight. Amaja, we're going to fight. And I just think social media is not a platform for me to be seen to be fighting. So let me stay off. There are just some people that I would just say,
Absolutely.
no way will I ever engage on their content.
Absolutely, absolutely, Stella. And you know, still on the subject of Netiquette, we can't but touch on digital footprints. Now, the internet or social media, whatever you want to call it, it does not forget. It does not forget. Every time we come out, every time we step out into, any platform, we are essentially leaving our digital footprints. And this can either work for you or work against you. Okay. I think if a couple of years ago or thereabout, a journalist went to South Africa. She was on holiday or something, and something she had tweeted at some point worked against her and she lost her job. Even recently, very recently, a young lady got a job with Vogue magazine as a young editor. And something she tweeted or put on social media when she was what, 19, 17, 18, came back to haunt her and she lost that job. So when we talk about digital footprints, this is very serious. What's your take on that?
Look, this is something I do literally, even when I'm, you know, engaging with trainers or engaging it with people on social media. And we've talked about it as well when we did our masterclass. It's so important. And the recent one, even let's talk about the celebrities out there. The big one that I can really think about right now is Christine Teigen, John Legend's wife. Now, this is a lady with 34.8 million followers on Instagram. Okay. And literally in the last few months, she was just identified as an online bully, a troll. And she was. And tweets from when she 10, 15 years ago is coming back to haunt her big time. And she's lost big endorsements, huge endorsements. So again, you have to be so careful on what it is you are saying on social media. And that's why with me personally, I try and avoid politics. I try and avoid religion. I try and avoid things that are sort of like gossipy, you know?
Yeah.
Things that just attract that kind of, there's correct gist. Let me now go and get involved and go and put my own 2 pennies worth, and I haven't fact checked. And before you know it, I've made a comment that might come and haunt me some 5 years later on.
Yeah.
So again, I'm very intentional
with
with what I am putting. Even sometimes I find myself, I'm typing something and I find myself going, where's that delete button? Yeah, delete. It's, because I think, this might be a bit too controversial for me even.
I know my space. I really do know my space. I don't do gossip. I don't do gossip.
You have to. So let me give you an example. Last year, obviously, we went through the whole Black Lives Matter movement, right?
Yeah.
Now that was a very difficult time for so many of us. Just even emotionally, it was draining for all of us. And I kept thinking, is this something that I need to talk about as a Black woman on LinkedIn, knowing how sensitive a subject Black Lives Matter was?
Yeah.
And again, I had to think about how I was going to put content out on a subject that meant so much to me, that affected me personally, without alienating my whole network full of different people from diverse groups.
Yeah.
And I wanted everybody to be in on the conversation. And I knew there were going to be some people who were going to agree with me, and I knew there were some people who were going to disagree. But what I hopefully achieved was that we could all talk together and disagree respectfully. That was the whole point. And again, this is part of my digital footprint, that even if they say, Stella got a bit political, this, that, and the other, I'm like, okay, well, if you say I got political, go and look at the contents that I put out. I know in which the manner of how I put that content out, because I was more focused on the human element of Black Lives Matter rather than the political element of Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely. And your content was, in that direction.
And that's what you need to think about, because I'm constantly thinking, even with me right now in a full-time job, I work for the Ministry of Labour here in Oman. Can you imagine me going on LinkedIn and being all controversial?
Exactly. I try to avoid that. I totally avoid that. And even when you put out content, I mean, just like in real life, everybody can't agree with you all the time, but we need to disagree respectfully. And I think that is the key message out here. If the content doesn't speak to you, I like the wakapas statement. Wakapas, like we say in Nigeria, wakapas meaning just walk on by.
Walk on by.
Walk on by. You don't have to comment on everything. And for me, I shy away from gossip. I totally shy away from gossip. And I don't even have the time. When you see my post on LinkedIn, it's either about Sincerely Agile with Mary, or I'm putting out some kind of message out there to encourage people, or I'm commenting on something that inspires me, and I move on. I mean, by the time you have 3 clients to deal with on a weekly basis, where's the time to do gossip? I don't do gossip in real life. And here's the thing.
You will find that within your network, if you're moving with the same like-minded people, you will find that within that network, you're not gossiping anyway.
No.
Do you see what I mean?
Exactly.
Said, we've got bigger. If I'm spending hours on LinkedIn, I've got to think of what is this return on investment for me. It's not spending my time on Facebook gossiping. I'm not going to get paid. So again, I have to always think about what my intentions are.
Absolutely. We really need to think about how we show up online, because digital footprints don't go anywhere. Especially,
and they're there to haunt you.
They're there to haunt you if you're not careful, especially with blockchain technology these days. It ain't going anywhere. So when we show up, go on, Stella.
I always tell people, especially on CVs, when job seekers, when you're looking for jobs, you've got to be so careful now, because, employers, hiring managers, recruiters, they are checking you out on social media.
Of course they are.
To go to America from the UK, right? You have to be, when you apply for your ESTA visa, they actually ask you now, what social media platform are you on?
Absolutely.
And I remember when I was going to the States, and usually when you apply for the ESTA, it usually just takes maybe half an hour before you get an approval. And at the time, it was during the elections for Donald Trump. And I remember calling that one orange idiot. I actually said it. And when I was applying for the ESTA and I didn't hear back from America, I thought, they've got to go and check my Facebook, and I've gone and abused Donald Trump as an orange idiot. And again, this is what I'm saying. You've got to be so careful. So even politically, if you want to even talk about politics, there's a way you can put it in content that, you can put out your point, but without being, taking any unnecessary risk to your digital footprint. You've got to be careful.
Absolutely. We have to be really careful. And for job seekers also, I mean, we on this platform, we're really trying to encourage everybody. For young people, for job seekers, look, you need to put your profile out there. You need to make sure that, you're putting out the right content. When you're commenting on people's posts, be mindful of your language, because it can come back and haunt you. And employers today, what's the first thing they do, Stella?
Employers today, and again, has someone who delivers employability skills. I talk to hiring managers, I talk to recruiters. They tell me they do go on their social platforms. They go on their social media platforms and check them out. What we're talking about is even things like, I have this young person who puts out brilliant content, but every time he puts brilliant content out, he's always swearing. Always.
Okay.
So I've had to give them feedback that, look, your content is great, but here in the Middle East, I can't even share your content
Right.
to anybody out here in the Middle East because they don't swear out here in the Middle East. So even simple things like that, people are not mindful. People are just thinking, well, I can just go on, but that's just the way I talk, this, that, and the other. But then
Yeah.
you're losing a whole audience.
Absolutely.
Because now I can't go and show potential employers your content because every
Absolutely.
time you're talking when you're doing a live, you're effing and blinding everywhere. So you've got to be so careful in how you're putting that content out. You know, do you really need to swear? I know sometimes you can do it to put it in context. I get that. But just to come out and just always come out on a live and you're effing and you're just like, really? It's not necessary.
I mean, for employers, they know what they're looking for. So when they come online and they follow your digital footprints and they are not impressed, you will not be hearing from them again. And I want to believe that some people are being rejected from one job application to the other simply because of their digital footprints, and sometimes they don't even know it.
Mary, they've had brilliant CVs,
Yeah.
and I've heard it.
Yeah.
Brilliant CVs. They've gone to check them out on social media, and that's been the decider. That's been the game changer. That's now we can't have this person working for us.
Wow.
Literally. And it's because they're in a pub, they're drunk, they're half naked, they're doing all sorts of rubbish on because they're just not thinking of the consequences.
Not at all.
They're not thinking of the consequences. They're not, you want to be political, yet you are being racist. You want to be this, you're being homophobic. These are things that, big organizations take very, very seriously. So they will check you out.
Absolutely.
And that has been the decider. I've spoken to so many employers who've told me that they've had brilliant candidates. They've actually offered them the job. Then they've gone and seen them on social media and they've said, nah, we can't. They just don't suit the image of the organization.
Absolutely. I mean, the young lady with Vogue that happened recently, I mean, the argument there was that she was young, she was naive, she didn't quite know the impact of her language at the time. So for our young people out there, be mindful. Be very, very mindful. Be mindful.
But sometimes that's an excuse. At 18, with all due respect, you know right from wrong. I've got a 7-year-old nephew. He knows not to be swearing at anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, sometimes when they and you hear it,
this was a racial statement. I think this one had to do with a racial statement, and it totally worked against her.
And again, at 18 or 19 or even 15,
you should know better.
You should know better.
You should know
you
better.
should know better. And it's just I just cannot, yes, you were young, you were stupid, you were even probably drunk, but you should know better. These are the consequences.
Absolutely. Honestly, and they are real. They are very, very real. And they are very, very real. And to be honest, I think you have answered this question. Any advice for how to show up and use, social media?
The main word I will use for this one is consistency.
Okay.
Can you see keywords here? So my advice, if you want to show up on social media, especially on LinkedIn, is you have to be consistent. The algorithm doesn't like people who will just show up for 1 week and then they don't show up for another week. They like you to be visible. And I'm pretty sure that's the same for Instagram and Facebook. So consistency is probably the key word in terms of having a presence on social media. With that, know what your intentions are. Know what message you are putting out. Know your audience. Who are your audience? Who are you targeting? So these are the kind of things that I would discuss with people who want to have a social media presence.
Right. So you've heard it from Stella. Be consistent. Be intentional. Be mindful. Be consistent. Stop and think before you make that comment, right? Stop and think before you make that comment. What else? You said avoid religion as much as possible. Avoid politics.
Avoid religion. Avoid politics. Religion and politics are usually the two main ones.
Very tricky. Very tricky. Very tricky. Very tricky.
Try and avoid them. Or if
Yeah.
you can't avoid that, if you really, if you have got a passion, because for some people it is a real passion. Politics is a passion, right?
Absolutely.
If you can put it in a way that comes across that people can really resonate with your content, then
that's fine.
Then that's fine.
Sharp and Sylvia says a lot of young people are going to regret it down the line. I don't even have that luxury of time to participate in such discourse.
For sure.
Definitely waka pass. Oh, we are coming to the hour, Stella. We're coming to the hour. Stella, I can't thank you enough for your time with us today. To our audience, Sharp and Save Child Foundation, Ronke, everybody that has been here today. We can't thank you enough for, joining us here today. Agatha, Ronke, who else was here today? Omo B, thank you so much. Thank you. Have a lovely Sunday. And please follow Stella Licious on LinkedIn. Stella is on LinkedIn and she does amazing content on LinkedIn. Stella Dasilva, you can't miss her. Follow her on LinkedIn. Connect with her on LinkedIn. She's amazing. So everyone have a lovely, lovely, lovely Sunday evening. Stella, thank you so much. 1 hour goes by so quickly when you're having fun.
Right?
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.